The research station moved in slow circles around the dying red star, and everything inside seemed normal at first, but then small problems began to appear, little things that did not make sense, a light flickering for no reason, a cold wind where no air should move, a strange echo in empty rooms. The crew tried to ignore it, telling themselves it was only the old systems acting up, but a part of them felt something else, something watching. It started when Lieutenant Rami looked out of the observation window and saw a dark shape drifting near the station. At first he thought it was an asteroid, but it moved in a strange way, too smooth, too slow, almost like it was alive. He called the others, and they gathered around the glass, staring at the huge shadow floating in space. It was not rock, not metal, not anything they had ever seen. It was changing shape, stretching and shrinking, like it was breathing. The commander ordered the cameras to zoom in, but the feed kept glitching, cutting to black for a second and coming back with strange static symbols across the screen. It looked almost like someone or something was trying to speak through the video. The crew felt a silent pressure in the room, as if the dark object was looking back at them, studying them, choosing them. Then the station alarm went off, loud and sharp, but the panel showed no error, no damage, no threat. The alarm was triggered by something with human fingerprints, but when they checked the logs, the fingerprints did not match anyone on the station. The commander tried to disable the system, but it turned itself back on, repeating the same warning again and again. Unknown presence detected, the voice said, cold and flat. Unknown presence detected. Even worse, a strange signal began to play over the communication system, a low voice repeating the same sound like a broken whisper. The pattern was similar to human speech, but the voice was not human at all. It sounded old, tired, and angry. Every time it spoke, the lights dimmed, and a thin layer of frost formed on the metal walls. Nobody knew why, but they all felt the same fear in their chest, the fear that something was calling them. The commander decided to send out a small probe toward the dark object. Maybe it was a ship, maybe it was debris, maybe it was nothing, but they had to know. The probe flew out, recording everything, and the crew waited in silence. The station felt heavier, as if the air itself was watching with them. When the probe returned, it sent the footage straight into the command room. The moment the video played, the entire crew froze. None of them could believe what they were seeing. The dark object was not random at all. It was a structure, a massive alien structure floating in space, shaped like a human body, but empty inside, hollow, like a giant vessel waiting for something to enter it, a vessel shaped like a man, built by something that clearly knew humans very well. The sight made everyone feel sick inside. How could something so huge look so human? How could something built by aliens resemble the shape of mankind? A silent question rose inside every mind. Were humans created by something out there, something older, something powerful, something that now wanted them back? The scientists argued in panic. Some said it was a coincidence, others said it was impossible. A few whispered the scariest thought of all: it is not a vessel. One scientist said with shaking hands, it is a body, and it wants a soul. Before the commander could respond, the lights cut off. The entire station went completely dark. Only the red emergency lamps lit up, painting the halls in a bloody color. Then the doors began to open by themselves, one by one, sliding apart as if welcoming something inside. The crew ran to seal the compartments, but every lock showed the same message: access granted. Who gave access? The commander shouted, but the log said the same answer every time: a name nobody recognized, a human name, but it did not belong to anyone alive on the station. It belonged to someone who never existed there at all. Whispers filled the hallway, soft at first, then louder, like many voices talking at once, calling the crew members by name. Some froze in fear, some cried, some begged the commander to let them escape, but escape was impossible, because outside the window, the human-shaped vessel started to move closer, turning its empty face toward the station, watching them with a hollow stare. A vibration shook the metal floor, slow and heavy, as if the vessel was trying to speak without sound. A cold wave passed through the air, and one crew member suddenly fainted. He whispered something before losing consciousness, a warning, a message none of them understood. It came before, he said in a weak voice: humans forgot, and now it wants its price. The vessel outside opened its chest, revealing a glowing void inside, a space large enough for a human to fit, and the station doors kept opening, pulling the cold air in, as if inviting them, selecting them, searching for the one it wanted. The crew felt an invisible force moving through the halls, slow and patient, like a hunter walking toward its prey, knowing no one could escape. None of them knew what the vessel wanted, but they all felt the same truth rising like a shadow inside their hearts. The vessel was not here to discover humans, it was here to claim them, and the price for ignorance was about to begin. The station remained dark except for the red emergency lights, and every shadow felt alive, moving like it had a mind of its own. The crew stayed close together, breathing fast, afraid that the next sound might not come from a human voice at all. Something unseen walked through the halls, slow, calm, confident, like it already owned the place. A thin mist formed along the floor, cold and silver, sliding under doors as if searching for someone. It felt like fingers brushing against ankles. Curious and hungry, the commander whispered for everyone to stay quiet, but the silence only made the fear louder. The metal floor vibrated again, one deep thump at a time, like a giant heartbeat echoing from the vessel outside. A scientist named Aaron moved to check the panels, but the screen lit up by itself, showing a handprint glowing in blue light. The hand was long and thin, not quite human, but close enough to bring a sick feeling to Aaron's stomach. The system tried to scan it, but the results showed an impossible detail. Match found, the computer said. Identity, first human prototype. Everyone stepped back, confused and terrified. How could the system recognize something that should not exist? How could there be a prototype before humanity even existed? Aaron touched the panel again, and suddenly his vision blurred. He saw flashes of ancient worlds, giant beings made of light walking through empty galaxies, building strange human-shaped vessels out of dark matter and energy. They placed something inside those vessels. Something alive, something powerful, but then everything went black and Aaron fell to the floor shaking. Another scientist, Mira, rushed to him, but the moment she touched his shoulder, the mist around them rose like smoke, forming thin shapes that looked almost human, but their eyes were empty and their mouths were wide open as if frozen in a silent scream. Mira pulled her hand back, her voice breaking as she whispered that the mist had memories inside it, memories of something dying long ago. Something that once used the vessels and failed to control them. Suddenly, the communication system activated again, and the same strange voice from before returned, but this time it sounded clearer, almost like it was learning human speech. The words dragged slowly, heavy and shaking. You were warned, the voice said. Ignorance has a price. Every light flickered as if the station understood the message better than the humans did. The crew ran toward the command room, hoping for answers, but the doors opened before they touched them. Inside, the screens displayed a map of Earth, zooming in and out, switching between different human faces, then stopping on a picture of a child, then an old man, then a soldier, then a scientist, as if the vessel was searching for someone specific, someone important, someone who carried something inside their blood that it needed. The commander tried to shut down the system, but instead the station turned on every speaker, flooding the room with loud static. Inside the noise were hidden words, whispers from hundreds of different voices, all saying the same thing in different tones. Return, what, was, taken. The static faded, and one voice remained, clear and sharp, or be replaced. A young crew member named Lyra suddenly screamed and held her head. She saw something no one else could see. She described visions of ancient humans standing before the same vessel, bowing, offering knowledge, offering energy, offering life. She said humanity once worked with the beings who made the vessels, but humans grew arrogant, believing they no longer needed guidance, so they erased the history, destroyed the records, lied to themselves, and forgot everything that kept them safe. Lyra fell to her knees and pointed at the screen, saying the vessel was not here to destroy them, it was here to reclaim the forgotten connection, to fix what humans had broken, but the price for rejecting that connection would be deadly and merciless. Before anyone could help her, the entire station shook violently, tools fell off walls, sparks flew from broken panels, and a deep rumbling sound came from the outside. The human-shaped vessel outside was opening its face, splitting down the middle like a mask revealing a burning void behind it. The void pulsed like a living organ, sending waves of invisible force crashing into the station, bending metal like soft plastic. One crew member tried to escape in an emergency pod, but the moment he launched it, the pod froze mid-space. Held by an invisible hand, it shook violently and then slowly drifted back, attaching itself to the station again like it had never left. The crew watched in horror as the pod door opened on its own, and the crew member inside was gone, no body, no scream, just gone, as if the vessel had taken him without leaving a single trace behind. The station lights turned blue, and a new symbol appeared on every screen, a circle with 3 lines across it. Mira recognized it from the old Earth myths, drawings found in caves, on stones, on ruins across the world, drawings nobody could explain. Now she understood, they were warnings, signs left by those who survived the vessel long ago, signs humans ignored because they chose ignorance over truth. The vessel outside stopped moving, turning its hollow human-shaped head toward the station windows, staring directly at the crew. Its chest glowed brighter, like it was ready to choose someone, ready to claim a new host, ready to take what humanity had forgotten to protect. The crew stood frozen, realizing the truth too late. The vessel did not come for peace, and it did not come for war. It came to correct a mistake older than human civilization, and the correction would begin now. The station felt smaller now, as if the walls were closing in with every passing second. Every metal surface hummed with a strange vibration, like a heartbeat that did not belong to any living thing. The crew moved slowly, afraid that even a loud breath might attract the unseen force walking through the corridors. The air tasted heavy, cold, and electric, as if lightning lived inside it. A deep sound echoed through the station, not a voice, not a machine, something older, something that felt like it came from the bones of the universe. The vessel outside glowed brighter, sending long shadows crawling across the walls. The shadows moved on their own, twisting like arms reaching for something just out of sight. The crew backed away, but the shadows followed, slipping under their feet like liquid darkness. Aaron awakened from his fainting spell, gasping for breath, his eyes glowing faint blue. He tried to speak, but his voice came out like a whisper behind a storm. He said the vessel was communicating with him, not through words, but through memories that did not belong to him. He saw worlds older than Earth, giants made of energy creating human-like shapes to hold a powerful force, a force meant to protect galaxies. But something happened. Something terrible, and the vessels were abandoned, left empty, drifting in space waiting for the right host. Mira asked him what the vessel wanted now, and Aaron shivered as he said that humans carried something inside their DNA, a forgotten spark from the first prototypes. The vessel was not here to destroy humans, it was here to wake them, but waking them came with a price, a cost that humans might not survive. Before they could question him further, a loud crash shook the station, sending tools and broken cables flying. The floor tilted for a moment as if gravity itself was bending. A distant scream echoed through the vents, but it was not the scream of a human. It was something deeper, more angry, more hollow. The crew looked at each other, knowing something else was inside the station now, something that slipped in when the doors opened earlier. The corridor lights turned gold, casting long beams across the walls, and a figure appeared at the far end, tall and thin, shaped almost like a human but stretched too long, its movements slow and smooth, like it was gliding instead of walking. Its face had no mouth, no nose, only 2 bright lights where eyes should be. The lights flickered as if scanning the crew, studying them, judging them. The commander ordered everyone to move back, but the creature didn't stop. It raised one hand, and the metal floor under their feet bent upward like soft clay, cutting off their path. Mira grabbed a pipe for protection, but Aaron stepped forward, his blue-lit eyes focused on the creature. He whispered that it was not attacking, it was searching, it was looking for the one who carried the strongest spark, the one the vessel would accept as the next host. Suddenly the screens in the corridor turned on by themselves, showing images of Earth from thousands of years ago, tribes looking at the sky, carving symbols into stone, the same circle with 3 lines they saw before. The images changed, showing ancient warriors bowing before the glowing vessel, offering knowledge, offering life, offering loyalty, and then the images turned violent, showing what happened when humans denied the vessel. Entire villages turning to ash without fire, people disappearing into thin air, shadows taking their place. The crew stepped back as the creature came closer, but then it stopped, its bright eyes looking directly at Lyra, the young crew member who had seen visions earlier. She froze, her breath shaking. She whispered that she felt something calling her name inside her mind, a voice asking her to come forward, asking her to accept her place. The creature extended its hand toward her, waiting. The commander tried to pull her away, but the moment he touched her arm, he was thrown back by an invisible force, sliding across the floor as if pushed by a giant unseen hand. Lyra walked forward slowly, her eyes unfocused, her voice soft and distant. She said she saw a giant city made of light, she saw beings made of energy training humans, she saw humans turn away, proud and ignorant. And now the vessel had come to finish what was left undone. Before she reached the creature, the entire station trembled again, alarms blared, but none of them made sense. Different warnings flashed at once: hull breach detected, atmosphere stable, temperature rising, temperature falling. The systems were confused, as if the station itself was breaking under the pressure of two different realities colliding. The vessel outside opened its chest wider, and a beam of blue light shot into the station, passing through walls as if they were smoke. The beam hit the creature, and the creature dissolved into dust instantly, leaving nothing but a fading echo in the air. The crew stared in horror, realizing the vessel was choosing someone itself. It did not need creatures or symbols anymore, it wanted direct control. The blue beam slowly turned toward the crew, scanning them one by one. The air grew colder with every pass, and the lights dimmed near whoever the vessel rejected, but when the beam touched Lyra, the lights turned white and bright, glowing like stars. The station trembled, and Lyra's body lifted a few inches above the ground, her eyes glowing silver. She whispered a final message, not in her voice, but in the voice of something ancient. "The time of ignorance is over," she said. "Humanity must remember, or humanity must pay." The beam tightened around her, and the vessel outside began to pulse like a beating heart, calling her, pulling her, claiming her. The crew could only watch as the vessel demanded its chosen host, knowing nothing would stop what was coming next. Lyra floated in the air, wrapped in the bright beam coming from the vessel outside, her body shaking softly, her eyes glowing with a silver light that did not belong to any human. The crew watched helplessly, afraid to move, afraid to breathe, afraid they might be the next ones chosen. The air around Lyra crackled like electricity, humming with a force older than Earth itself. Aaron stepped closer, his glowing blue eyes pulsing in response. He whispered that the vessel was not only choosing Lyra, it was testing her, searching inside her mind, looking for something hidden deep in her bloodline, something humans never knew they carried. The vessel needed the one who could open a forgotten door in the universe, a door humans had turned their backs on long ago. Suddenly Lyra screamed, but the sound did not come from her human voice. It sounded like hundreds of voices crying at once, echoing through the metal walls, shaking the station from the inside out. The floor rattled under their feet, and panels exploded in bursts of sparks. The silver light around Lyra grew brighter, almost painful to look at, as if the vessel was burning away everything weak inside her. The commander tried to grab Aaron, telling him to step back, but Aaron did not move. He whispered that if they interrupted the test, the vessel might destroy the entire station in anger. He said the vessel had no patience left. It had waited thousands of years for humanity to remember the truth, and humans had done nothing but run deeper into ignorance. Now the vessel demanded a price, and it demanded that price today. The screens around them flickered on again, showing new images, this time of Earth's ancient temples, stone circles, ruins nobody understood. The symbols carved on them were glowing in the video, matching the light around Lyra. Then the images changed, showing ancient humans speaking with tall glowing beings, exchanging knowledge, exchanging energy, binding themselves to some kind of promise, a promise humanity had broken. The commander shouted at the screens, demanding answers, but the only reply was the same cold message: return what was taken. The voice said, restore what was forgotten, but then a second voice rose, deeper, angrier, or be replaced. The crew felt something shift in the station, like gravity itself was twisting. Mira grabbed the wall and pointed toward the hallway. Shadows were gathering again, but this time they were thicker, more solid, rising like figures forming out of smoke. Their shapes stretched unnaturally, some tall, some small, some with too many limbs. They moved toward the crew, silent, watching, waiting. Aaron whispered that these were echoes of the ancient species that once used the vessels, memories trapped in darkness, reminders of what happens when a species rejects its purpose. Mira backed away, shaking, realizing that the shadows were not attacking, they were judging, looking at each crew member as if deciding their fate. Lyra's body dropped suddenly, but before she hit the floor, the silver light caught her again, lifting her gently. The beam around her changed color from silver to deep gold, and Aaron gasped, saying that the vessel had accepted her, that she carried the strongest spark. But that acceptance also meant something far more dangerous. Lyra was no longer fully human. Her voice spoke again, echoing with multiple tones. "The vessel remembers," she said, "the vessel forgives nothing." The lights of the station dimmed until they were almost out, plunging everything into a dark red glow. The crew felt every hair on their arms rise, the air turning heavy, thick, almost impossible to breathe. The vessel outside opened its chest even wider, revealing swirling galaxies inside its hollow frame, a miniature universe spinning slowly, calling Lyra like a magnet. The station pulled toward the vessel, metal creaking, bolts bending, glass cracking under the pressure. The commander ordered everyone to hold on, but anything not nailed down flew across the room like weightless debris. The beam around Lyra tilted, pulling her toward the window, toward the open chest of the vessel. Aaron ran forward, screaming for her to fight it, to resist, but she looked at him with eyes that no longer knew him, eyes filled with star-like light. She whispered a single haunting sentence: "I was chosen long before I was born." Suddenly, alarms blared again, but not from the station systems. These alarms were from deep inside the vessel itself. The shadows in the hallway dissolved instantly, like terrified animals running from a predator. Aaron grabbed the nearest panel and tried to understand what was happening, and when he did, his voice trembled with fear. He shouted that the vessel was waking up completely, that Lyra was only the first step, and once awakened, the vessel would search for more humans like her. Humans carrying the ancient spark. The commander demanded to know what that meant, and Aaron whispered the truth they never wanted to hear. "It means humanity was never alone," he said. "It means humans were never the final version." He pointed at the glowing vessel outside, its hollow form trembling like a giant being taking its first breath in a million years. "It means the vessel is coming to finish what it started." The beam tightened around Lyra, her body melting into pure light, her shape breaking apart like dust in a storm, but she did not scream. She only whispered a final message, soft but chilling. "Prepare your world," she said, "the first vessel has awakened." The beam snapped, the vessel closed its chest, and the station shook so violently the crew fell to the floor. Lyra was gone, absorbed into the ancient machine, transformed into something new, something unknown, something terrifying. Outside, the vessel turned its glowing face toward Earth, and the crew felt the truth sink into their bones. The vessel was not finished, it was only choosing its next target. The station fell silent after Lyra vanished, the metal walls still trembling from the force that pulled her away. Every crew member lay on the floor, catching their breath, trying to understand what they had seen. The air felt empty now, but not safe, more like the calm that settles before a storm big enough to erase everything in its path. Outside the window, the vessel floated with new life. The hollow human shape no longer looked empty. Faint lights moved under its dark surface, like veins waking up after centuries of sleep. Its face, once blank and silent, now twitched with tiny pulses of energy, as if something inside it was learning how to control the ancient machine. The crew understood the terrible truth: Lyra was inside that thing now, and she was awake. Aaron struggled to stand, his glowing blue eyes dimming as if the vessel had drained him. He whispered that the connection between humans and the vessel was not broken, only sleeping, and now the vessel was ready to reconnect itself to humanity, one host at a time. Mira asked what would happen next, and Aaron's voice shook as he replied, "It will return to Earth." The commander looked at the screens, and every camera outside showed the same terrifying sight. The vessel had turned toward Earth, not drifting, not waiting, but watching the planet like a predator choosing the next meal. The entire station groaned as the vessel released a powerful wave of energy, a soundless pulse that hit the metal structure like a giant hammer. The lights went out again, and the crew clung to anything they could find, afraid the station might fall apart. For a moment, the vessel did nothing, just hovered, silent and still, but then its chest opened once more, and inside that glowing void, a new shape formed, a shape that looked almost human but taller, brighter, stronger. The light inside the vessel reshaped itself like it was building a new version of Lyra, or perhaps something far beyond her. Aaron stepped closer to the window, his breath shaking, and whispered that the vessel was creating its guardian, a being meant to protect the galaxy if humans accepted the ancient truth, and to punish them if they refused. The crew watched as the glowing figure inside the vessel turned its head, slowly, almost gently, looking at them through the station window. Its eyes were two burning stars, deep and endless, and its body flickered like a living storm. It raised one hand, and a wave of golden energy passed through the station, not breaking it, but scanning it, searching again. The system panels lit up instantly, displaying the same message across every screen. Searching for compatible hosts. Myra's hands shook as she asked who else the vessel wanted, and Aaron answered with a cold whisper, anyone with the spark. The vessel was not satisfied with one host, it needed more, not to destroy humanity, but to reshape it, to rebuild it into the version that ancient beings once imagined, the version that humans abandoned when they chose ignorance over knowledge, power over purpose. The station doors suddenly slammed shut, sealing every exit. The air pressure changed, making the crew's ears ring. A low hum filled the corridors, rising slowly like a warning from a sleeping giant. The commander ordered the crew to prepare escape pods, but Aaron shook his head, saying no pod could escape now. The vessel controlled space itself, bending it like cloth, and anyone who tried to run would be pulled right back inside the trap. A deep light shone from inside the vessel, and the glowing being stepped out of the open chest, floating forward like gravity had no meaning for it. The crew stared in horror as the being drifted closer to the station, every movement slow and calm, terrifying in its confidence. The vessel followed behind it, its gigantic form gliding through space with no sound, no flame, no force, only dreadful purpose. Aaron felt a pressure in his mind, a voice calling his name, a voice that once belonged to Lyra but was now mixed with something ancient, something powerful. He heard her whisper inside his head, "You were warned," she said, "the vessel remembers its purpose, now humans must remember theirs." Aaron dropped to his knees, holding his head as the voice grew stronger, showing him visions of Earth burning under shadows, oceans rising, mountains falling. All because humans refused to accept the truth. They were built to carry. The glowing being reached the station, placing its hand against the outer hull, and the metal melted like ice under fire, creating a silent hole in the wall, not explosive, not violent, controlled, perfect. The being floated inside, its light filling the corridor, turning shadows into sharp shapes on the floor. The crew backed away, but the being did not chase them, it simply watched, its star-filled eyes shifting between each person, measuring them, searching their minds. The commander raised his weapon, but the being tilted its head slowly, almost sad, and the weapon melted in his hands like soft wax. The being spoke, but its voice came from everywhere at once, echoing through the metal walls, vibrating through the floor, speaking in a tone that was not human, not alien, something in between. Ignorance was allowed for too long, it said, the balance must return. Mira asked what balance meant, and the being answered with a chilling calm, humans were created to protect, not to forget. It said, the vessel brings the awakening. Aaron cried out as the voice inside him grew louder, showing him images of Earth's future, a future that depended entirely on what happened next, a future where humans either rose to become guardians of galaxies or vanished like the ancient species before them. The being lifted its hand, and the vessel outside glowed again, ready to open, ready to take more hosts, ready to begin the selection across Earth. The crew realized they were witnessing the start of something unstoppable, something that would change humanity forever, something far bigger than any war or discovery. The vessel pulsed one final time, sending a shockwave across space. And the being spoke with a voice that made the station tremble. Prepare your world, it said, the awakening begins now. And with that, the vessel turned fully toward Earth, its glowing chest opening again, calling to the planet like a silent storm ready to rewrite the fate of every human alive.